My name is Jerry Wesson. It's kind of interesting, but the first four people that came here was the president, Dr. DeWitt. The vice president in charge of finance was Mike Bruner. Susan McBride, who was our next door neighbor, was the dean of instruction. And I was my first job was the dean of student services, and Dr. Jack Foreman was the dean of programs, if you will. And there were just four of us, that and a cow pasture. That was all that was out there. And that was 1984. And college opened in 1985. So there were just the four of us for a long time. And I mean, we didn't have anything, nothing. Catalog, we had to write the catalog, we had to hire the people. Construction hadn't even started. And people had some concerns. Do we really need it? Can we afford it? And so forth. And at the same time, we had a lot of support in the election to open the college. I think we got 70% of the vote. When we started, the state said they were going to pay 80% of the cost of maintenance, and so it didn't look too bad financially. But the year I retired in, I believe, 97, the state was only paying 10%. So that was a big change, but I think they're doing pretty well right now. But we had a baseball program that we just started a couple of years before I left, and so the baseball coach got a new job, and he left, and we went down in Central Texas. The athletic director was kind of taking care of the program, and so he resigned. The president came over to my house that night and says, Jerry said, I got a question for you. He said, would you be over athletics as well? And he said, I can't pay you anything, you know. I said, sure. And I didn't know anything about athletics. So we had softball, baseball, rodeo, and even had golf then for a very short period of time. So I thought, well, we're on national probation, but we got out of it that year. And lo and behold, that was the year we won the national championship. So I was still teased about when Wesson became the athletic director, we won the national championship. but I knew John McCullough because he had been our softball coach one time. And I think everybody's third job with us. And so anyway, I'm still teased about being athletic director. And I probably know less about it than anyone. I spent 35 years in higher education. I worked for 2 universities. My first one was Eastern Illinois University. And I learned a lot there. That was my first job. I worked in the counseling area and residencies and so forth. Then I went to Midwestern University in Wichita Falls. And the dean of men had told me, he and the dean of students that hired me said, well, Ralph, who was the dean of men, said he's going to be leaving in a couple of years, and we want you to be the assistant dean of men until he leaves, and you can take his position. Well, the reason I came back there for another reason, when I was at Eastern Illinois, I went to a convention in Minnesota. And as I was leaving, my wife, she's in here, my wife said, don't come back from Minnesota unless you have a job in Texas. Kind of tells you about the weather we had. But I really liked that. And while I was there in Wichita Falls, I got a call. And this really blew my mind. Says, Dr. Wesson said, this is Don Creamer, who I'd known for a long time, not well. But he said, we're starting a new junior college system in Dallas. We don't have a name yet, but we'd like for you to come to work for us. And I said, wow. And I said, what job? He said, well, we got several. And which one would you be interested in? He told me, and there was registrar, financial aid, director of counseling, I don't know, student activities and so forth. I said, well, let me come visit with you. So I went to Dallas and visited us. So I didn't want to be registrar, didn't want to be financial aid director. Counseling, I want to do more than that. So I took the financial aid, and I'm glad I did because I learned a lot there. We were the first college or university in Dallas that integrated. And I knew there was going to be some issues there that I would really like to learn more about and get some experience in. And because the racial problem was hitting pretty much the top, is pretty crucial. And I spent a lot of time dealing with those kind of issues, which was very helpful. And then we changed our name to El Centro College. And we worked very hard. I mean, same thing we did here. Had to hire everybody, didn't have a catalog, all of that. But I so love student services. My master's was in psychology and sociology, at two majors. That's my bachelor's. My master's was in guidance and counseling. And my doctorate was in student services administration primarily. But I also got some, additional courses and more in counseling. In fact, I had a 3-year private practice also. It's certified. I got the thing on the wall. I was a marriage and family counselor in Dallas. So I got a good education in that. I also went to Michigan State for nearly a year, and I started off in George Washington University in Washington, D.C. I got a short story on that. It's kind of cute. When I was in high school, the special agent in charge of this area in the FBI came and did an assembly. When he got through talking, I went up and told him how much I enjoyed it. And he said, where do you go? You're a senior. And I said, yeah. He said, where are you going to college? And what do you want to major in? I said, I'm not sure. I said, right now, I'd like to be an FBI agent. After hearing you talk. He said, well, that's great, Jerry. He said, are you serious? I said, I am now. And he said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll see if I can help you. Now, his area was local, the main office where he was from was in Paris, Texas. He had this whole area. And he said, when I come to Silver Springs, and I come about every other month or so, I'm going to give you a call and we'll have coffee. I did that, and we got to be friends. His name was Guy Leonard. And he said, I'll tell you what we can do. He said, if you're interested, I think I can get you a job with the FBI starting this summer, right out of you graduate from high school. And I can get you in George Washington University. So right after high school, that summer, I went straight to Washington, D.C. and enrolled at George Washington University. And And at night, I had a full-time job with the FBI in the in the classification division. And I only stayed 1 year because I went on scholastic probation. You know, George Washington ain't an easy school. Plus somebody that's, 17, 18 years old, moving from Silver Springs to Washington, D.C. It's a pretty good jump. And met a lot of people, in college, and we had a good time. So by this time, I thought, I don't want to be an FBI agent because two of the guys I roomed with also want to be FBI agents. And, but I, not FBI, but FBI agents at the time, you either had to have a law degree or accounting degree. Well, I didn't want to take those my first semesters, but that's what they were taking. And both of them were just studying like crazy. And I thought, I don't like math, so I don't want to take accounting. And the law student was studying like crazy. I thought to myself, I'm going to change my major. And I took a psychology course I really liked. So that's, I like this. So that's how all that happened. But that's how I got involved in the education part. Midwestern University, for only like 9 months, I got a call from Dallas, and would you come to work here? And I said, let me come over and visit with you. And you're going to love this. At Midwestern, I was making $6,000 a year. Dallas paid me $11,000 a year. For the first year, $13,000 the second year. I thought, boy. Plus, my wife was an elementary school teacher, so she had a full-time job both places as well. So I had a great time opening that college. I wanted to come to a small town, and then when the situation here, coming to East Texas was always perfect. And I was working in downtown Dallas. And we lived out close to Richardson, going down Central Expressway every day. It was getting awfully tiring. And so it was a good time for me to leave for a lot of reasons. My mother, the big money, and plus I had so much fun starting the college. And we did the same thing here since there was only 4 of us to get started. And we really, really worked hard, And I wouldn't take anything for those two experiences. When Dr. Johnson became president here, he called me and said he'd like to meet me and so forth. And he said, can we have breakfast? We never met each other. And I said, sure. And I wanted to meet him. And he said, he met with, a bunch of the people and faculty, officers, and the deans. And he says, we don't have a book, the history of the college. And said, we had a meeting, said, I think I said this to you. Who can write it? I said, you're the only name came up. And I said, well, I can't write, and I'm not a historian. He said, that's kind of what the committee told me. They said, you're a good storyteller. And we want the story told. And I tell more stories, I think, rather than a history book. But, it was in a storytelling kind of style. And I wrote this 12 years ago. The Miracle on Foreign Market Road, 1735. You know who we had a fuss about the name? I called it The Miracle on Farm Road, 1735, but I had one person who didn't like it at all. And we had a little fuss about it. You probably don't know him, a guy named John McCullough. No, you're not going to call it Farm Road. He said, I don't like the way that sounded. You're going to call it Farm to Market. So Jonathan kind of hired me too, you know. So I went with him since we knew each other. And so that's how all that came about. Happy 40th anniversary. I'm so excited about that. I wish